for Monday, March 1st of 2021. America, can we have a roll call, please? Hope you're on mute.
Amber Joyner.
Here.
Leanne McCauley did let us know she's not going to be able to make it today. Misty Von Allen.
Here.
Natalie Sanchez.
All right.
Natalie. I see her. I can't hear her. Alice Ledesma stated she'll be joining late. Jim Nadeau.
Here.
Sheriff Balaam.
Here.
Charlene Bybee is not able to join us today. Neither is Marcy Burke. Coretta Patterson.
Here.
Jeffrey Frame.
Here.
Scott Benton.
Here.
Lorraine Benuta.
Here.
Okay, roll call has been taken.
Thank you so much, America. Item 1.03 is public comment. I would like to read a statement so that everybody is aware. Due to the current state of emergency declared by the governor, members of the public wishing to make public comment about an item on the agenda must submit their comments via email to shsccommittee@washoeschools.net. Any public comments received will be forwarded to the Safe and Healthy Schools Commission for its consideration consistent with the emergency provisions noted above. America, do we have any public comment?
There was one submitted by Chris Ward.
And everybody
That's all.
received that via email, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Hearing no other public comment, we will move on to item 1.04, which is an action item to adopt the agenda. I'd be looking for a motion.
I motion to adopt the agenda. This is Lorraine Benuto.
Thank you, Lorraine. You looking for a second?
Jim Nadeau, second.
Thank you, Jim. With that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're going to move on to item 2.01 is the approval from our meeting of February 1st, 2021. And those minutes were attached to our agenda packet that was sent out. Is there any discussion on those minutes? There's no discussions. I am open for a motion.
Move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Joyner.
I second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Misty. I never know. Do you want to go by Misty or do you want to go by Von Allen?
Misty is perfectly fine. Thank
Okay.
you.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 2.02 is an update on the district's Department of Intervention efforts, including an update on the Family Resource Centers and Children in Transition programming. This is a presentation and discussion from one of my favorite people, Rochelle. You're on mute, Rochelle.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Chairperson Benton. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rochelle Murillo. I'm the Intervention Department Director. I'm going to pull up my presentation and let me know if you can see it okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. What I would like to do today is just give you an overview of what we do in the Intervention Department. Some of you have worked directly with Family Resource Centers, and so you're familiar with them. But I'm going to give you an overview of the big department and then let you know kind of what we've done in the last several months in response to the needs that our families and students have based on the global pandemic that we are experiencing right now. So the intervention department, our overall goal is prevention and intervention services for students and families. We work with all schools in Washoe County, including out to Incline and Gerlach. And our mission statement is ensuring student success by removing barriers and building resiliency with families and children. And we do that through 4 different essentially programs or sort of sub-departments that we have in our department. Let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them. I can wait until after the presentation, or if you have it while I'm presenting too, I'm okay with that. So Children in Transition is our program. It's our McKinney-Vento program. It's the program that serves our students that are experiencing homelessness in our school district. And then we also do support for students that are in foster care. Our family resource centers, there's 3 locations. Family resource centers have been around for 26 years. They're under the umbrella of Washoe County School District. They're one of the only in Nevada that are part of a school district, but that gives us a unique opportunity to get referrals directly from counselors who are working with students and families that need access to basic needs or help with accessing basic needs. And I will go into more detail with all of these as well. We have our chronic absenteeism and truancy intervention programs. So those are supporting students who are chronically absent. And a definition of chronically absent is missing 10% or more of the days that they're enrolled in school. And then our re-engagement program is working with students who are no longer enrolled in our school district. We reach out to them and we work with them to identify some of the reasons why they left and invite them back to our school district to make sure that they're supported and welcome back into our school district as we bring them back. Some of our direct services and practices that we provide through our department overall are resources and referrals. We do a lot of mentoring with students to check in with them, to make sure that they have folks that connect with, care about them. We do lots of collaboration with school staff and supporting schools in terms of chronic absenteeism interventions and processes. We provide case management when necessary through a variety of ways. We do some support with transportation when students are identified as homeless or in foster care. They have the right to stay in their school of origin, even if they don't live in that zone. And so we help to facilitate that. We do lots and lots of home visits, and I'll show you how many we did last year too, in response to the closure of schools. We help with academic placement assistance. So those are our students where we're just trying to bring them back and support them as they come back to our school district. And through family resource centers, we also work with helping families to access food, clothing, any sorts of basic needs kinds of things. And we collaborate extensively with Human Services Agency and Washoe County Juvenile Services to support students through that means. So a little bit more detail around Children in Transition. It is a federally mandated program through McKinney-Vento. McKinney-Vento has been around since 1987, so Reagan was in office when this law was enacted. It's a little bit different. The definition is a little different than the HUD definition. The definition for homelessness for school-age children are children who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. What they do is ensure that students have access to any sort of supports that they might need to have the same experience in school as any other student, and anything that we might identify as a barrier to accessing school. So it could mean that students that are identified as homeless, they eat immediately breakfast and lunch. They may need help paying for school fees or sports fees so they can participate in sports fees. They may need help buying cap and gowns. They may need help accessing their shot records because they've lost those shot records. And again, I talked about the transportation and trying to advocate for transportation back to their school of origin if they choose to do that. So lots of things that we do in terms of like school supplies, field trips, anything that we can do to help support students so they can have that really broad, wonderful, enriching experience in school. Our family resource centers, we have 3 sites. We have one on the Sparks High School campus. We have one on the new school up in the back of Sun Valley, Desert Skies Middle School. And then we have one on the Worcester High School campus. What do family resource centers do? So they're mandated to serve all individuals in Washoe County, and that includes seniors. It's not just families, but we primarily work with students in Washoe County School District. And so we help to facilitate access to basic needs. So when a family member or an individual comes into a family resource center, we will do an individual needs assessment to understand what are some of the acute needs that a family has. And we help them access those. So that could mean access to food. It could mean rental assistance, emergency rental assistance to avoid homelessness. It could mean some case management so that we're working on some more long-term goals for them as well. It could mean power assistance. And I'll talk to you a little bit about how that has really kind of exploded over the last several months of what that looks like. We have a couple of sites that have co-located supports of other community agencies in our community as well. And then our chronic absenteeism re-engagement programs. The next slide is a little wordy, but I won't go over all of it, but we do have 6 re-engagement specialists and 6 attendance officers. So re-engagement specialists, again, are working with and providing case management for students who are no longer enrolled in our school district, and we are working with the family to get them re-enrolled again. We identify those barriers, what led up to them leaving the school district. We identify and we try to address those barriers for them and bring them back into school again. For attendance officers, they're focused on students that are chronically absent. And so they're working with schools directly. They could be part of an attendance team at a school and the supporting schools. We also provide student attendance review board hearings. So we're working with students who are habitually truant. And what we do is we meet with the family with a variety of different experts in the field, including Washoe County Juvenile Services and Human Services Agency. We have counseling on there. We have a variety of different individuals who sit in, and we work collaboratively with the family to identify what are the barriers to attendance, how can we best support this family, and then improve attendance. And so those are collaborative goals that we set in the SARB hearings to improve attendance. Additional resources that we help to support are all sorts of things that we do, including District Intervention Assistance Team, our SARB board. We have Title 4A re-engagement facilitators. They work at specific schools where they pilot and facilitate the Check and Connect mentoring program. So there's lots of things that we do across the school district just to support the overall big picture of improving attendance. So as we experienced the closure of schools back in March now, a year ago now, we almost immediately saw a huge influx of families coming in particular to family resource centers and needing assistance with accessing basic needs. And so since I guess this is data from July 1. So since July 1, actually, we've provided housing assistance to 70 families, emergency rental assistance. We've provided food pantry and mobile harvest collaborations with the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. And the mobile harvest back in April, they would come and they bring fresh fruits and vegetables and those kinds of things for families. At one point, we had at Desert Skies about 50 families that would come through to access that. When the closure occurred with the global pandemic, we had up to 750 cars driving through. So there was a huge increase in the need to access food. We've paid power assistance for 910 families so far. And that's interesting because we've always had power assistance. We collaborate with NV Energy to help folks who are behind on their power bills. NV Energy allowed folks to defer their payments for a certain amount of time, but now those payments, those power bills have come due. And so folks are coming in and asking for assistance so that we can keep the heat and electricity on for our students that are continuing to work sometimes and a lot of time at home doing distance learning. We've served since July 1, 1,180 families and 1,497 students. We've worked a lot with counselors, safe school professionals, school administrators. They're sort of our first point of contact where when they have a relationship with a family, and they usually do, families will come to them asking for help, and then they refer to us so we can help facilitate some of that assistance that families might need. In terms of children in transition, we worked really hard this last several months. They kind of all blur together now, trying to relocate and re-identify students. In July, we identified 2,700 families that were experiencing homelessness. We called every single one, and we're only able to get in contact with 250 of the 2,700 that we called. So we've been working with some of our other agencies that serve unaccompanied youth and other individuals who are experiencing homelessness to try to identify and ensure that we're providing them the same services that we always do. And then we also had a really great collaboration with the Big Reno Coat Drive. They pulled together a coat drive for us and were donated 2,100 coats that we distributed to students across our school district. And then for chronic absenteeism and re-engagement work, because of what is happening with the pandemic, we are seeing some unprecedented numbers in terms of chronic absenteeism. And so when our schools closed, we continue to reach out to families that we weren't able to get in contact with. So back in March, April, May, we performed over 2,300 home visits during that lockdown in the springtime. And the goals of those residence checks or dropping off food were just to connect with families so they knew that somebody was there. We dropped off information so they knew how to contact their school if they needed. We dropped off academic packets. We dropped off food boxes. We dropped off laptops. We dropped off hotspots. Anything a family might need to ensure that they could access education adequately from home. And then we just continue to do those home visits now. And so we are very busy continuing to go out to homes. We don't go inside a home. We do porch visits still, but we're able to talk face-to-face with families to ensure their safety and ensure the safety of staff too. But we're able to connect face-to-face with families just to assess what might they need, how can we support them, and that they know that we're here to help them in any way that we can, and we care about their needs and helping them. So that is the end. That's my contact information. And please let me know if you have any questions.
Are there any questions from the commission?
Hey, Scott, may I say just a couple words?
Absolutely.
So thank you, Rochelle, for presenting that. And I know that the commission didn't have a lot of context for why this was being brought, but you might remember that we wanted to bring to you several of the support departments that are just providing generalized support for students, given sort of what seems to be a greater emphasis nowadays around mental health. A lot of the work that Rochelle described, we see that as kind of entry-level mental wellness support. I mean, if kids' basic needs aren't being met, they're going to have a particularly difficult time learning. I think often as well, you know, when we think about a student not attending, we kind of conjure up these images of kind of this defiant kid who's just, you know, not showing up for school and thumbing their nose. But we actually, through the SARB hearings and the eSARB hearings that Rochelle very quickly talked about, we see some of our most troubled cases. Poor attendance is almost always a signal for something much greater going on within the home. And we have to double down our efforts in order to engage those kids. And that doesn't mean just getting them back in the door. It means getting them back in the door and then engaging them so that they can learn, and we can fulfill our obligation, and that's to give them a good education. So I just wanted to share that. Rochelle's incredible. That department is incredible. So anyways, I don't know if you guys have questions for her.
Natalie, go for it. It sounds like you're still on mute. It doesn't look like you're on mute, but we can't hear you.
Maybe put it in the chat, Natalie.
And while we wait for Natalie, is there anybody else that has any questions for Rochelle?
Chair Benton, this is Superintendent McNeil, and I think, I just want to congratulate and thank Rochelle for all of her dedication and her team, and just echo what Dr. LaMarca was saying. Not a lot of people know that our FRCs, our Family Resource Centers, are solely funded out of state and federal dollars. We don't support that program, although it's extremely important, and it's been in Northern Nevada for almost, like Rochelle said, almost 30 years now. And so the funding for those Family Resource Centers has gone through quite the history as far as state and federal dollars. And then just our children in transition, our homeless students, and all of the work and effort finding all of our children in transition. And Paul mentioned all of the challenges that our families are going through. And so many of our students, especially our high school students, right, are supporting their families and working to support their families. And so a lot of times what we find is that there is a nexus between our chronic absenteeism in the secondary level and our children trying to support their families just through job loss, COVID illness, and then obviously housing prices, rental increases, families doubling and tripling up. So just a great amount of work. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary. This next week, it will be 1 year, March 16th, when our schools went into closure. And Rochelle was one of the very first people in her department deployed that very next day to get food security and needs out to our families. So again, just thank you so much, Rochelle.
Thank you, Dr. McNeil. I appreciate that.
Scott, we can't see Natalie's. If she put something in the chat, we can't see it. I'd sent John Maston an email. Unfortunately, we can only chat with the meeting organizer. So I apologize for that.
Okay.
And there is nothing in the chat at this time.
Okay.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Rochelle for the work that I see day in and day out through the Family Resource Centers and my work that I get to participate in. So Rochelle, thank you. I don't say it enough, but I do appreciate the work that you and the staff do for the Family Resource Centers. It doesn't go unnoticed. And I think food insecurity is one of the things that we didn't expect in a pandemic. And here we are. And it has been something that you and your department have faced head on, and you've done a tremendous job with that.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Okay, Chair Benton.
Yes.
Natalie's question is, what's the best way to refer folks to your services? Outstanding, and thank you, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie, for the question. So folks can call us directly, and I can send that information directly to you all so that you have our direct phone number. Right now, we are seeing folks in person, but we do a lot of it virtually. And so we'll do a phone call, we'll assess needs over the phone, and then we'll work on just triaging, but then we also identify other goals, more long-term goals to help families with stabilization too. So the best thing to do is just give us a call directly, and then we'll get working on it, and I'll make sure that you'll have that information. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. All right, we are going to move on to item 2.03. 2.03 is an update on the statewide Hope Means Nevada initiative. This is for presentation and discussion. I'm going to toss this over to Vice Chair Von Allen and Catherine Loudon for an introduction of our presenter.
Thank you so much, Chair Benton. This is a very exciting opportunity. Hope Means Nevada. We're welcoming Karen Swope today, but I believe they've been going for about a year, starting in Clark County, but then the Northern Nevada chapter joined us rather quickly, and the participation statewide, the vision and initiatives they're putting together for awareness around suicide prevention and hope are really powerful. So I don't want to take up her time. I'll hand it over to Catherine Loudon if she wants to add anything.
Hello, everyone. I don't want to take any more of Karen's time either, except for to let everyone know that actually the Counseling and Social Work Department and our MTSS and Social Emotional Learning Department with Trish Schaefer, we've been collaborating as a team on this initiative, and Karen Swope is heading up Northern Nevada's initiatives with many other partners that you'll recognize. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being invited to talk about Hope Means Nevada. So as Misty said, in April, this was started in Las Vegas by Julie Murray, who many of you may know. She runs a philanthropic organization called Moonridge Group. They've done some events up here. And then my old boss at R&R Partners, a former partner at R&R, Marianne Mealy. And the mission essentially is to raise awareness about mental health and teen suicide. And I think we're going to expand it to youth. I've talked to President Sandoval at the university about possibly launching the campaign up there. But R&R Partners put together a full throttled campaign. We have TV, outdoor, and we're going to start placing it in pro bono outlets soon. They have run it in Las Vegas. But the campaign is based on the tag Ask 5. So in Nevada, statistics say that 1 in 5 teens have considered harming themselves. So we're asking students to reach out and just ask 5 of their friends how they're doing. So a lot of campaigns never have a call to action. They don't have something for people to do. So we think this is a pretty easy and effective way to get students involved and more aware of the topic. On our Northern Nevada committee, we have Catherine and Trish from the Washington County School District, Susan Fisher from McDonald Corona is my co-chair, Annie Zucker from Renown, Arden Dingle from the University Medical School, Joe DeFur, Safe Talk for Teens, Sheila Leslie, who's, as you all know, is a former state senator, Fong Manente, who has 2 children in the Washington County School District, and she's a media strategist, and then Kim Young, who's the executive director of the Children's Cabinet. So our job is not to create programs. We just want to raise awareness and shine a light on the issue. And if anything, what we would do is organize, informational sessions. So they've had several webinars down out of Las Vegas. And one, I believe the school administrators and counselors were invited to, and they had pretty good turnout. I'm not sure how many from Washoe County attended. What I ultimately would like to do here, and we've talked to the Children's Cabinet, I've talked to the Lisa Crane a little bit about, is try to educate parents a little bit more and think about maybe doing a parent town hall here. And then I've also, I work with the Dorothy Lemelson Foundation and maybe reinstituting the grant that I can't remember what I just spaced on what it's called, the ideation work that the Children's Cabinet's been doing. I know they did one at Damani Ranch, but that grant's running out. So we want to talk further about possibly renewing that grant, seeing if some way we can reach some more parents with it. So that's essentially Hope Means Nevada. We want to, start talking to students, start a teen group. It'll probably be more, we'll be able to fulfill that probably when kids get back to school, hopefully in the fall. But the more we can involve students, the better. And that's all I have, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you, Catherine and Misty.
Thank you so much, Karen. I am really appreciative of how quickly you all are pulling together such great support. And as Karen mentioned, a youth group, Southern Nevada has a group of students who I think have about 100 youth involved in their committee, very active. They've been hosting summits and responding to press when the New York Times read an article. So I think that's a wonderful gap we don't do well in, is getting our youth voices as well as I see Hope Means Nevada doing. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, they have a group. It's kids from all schools down there, and it was started independently of the school district. So we'd like to do something more, maybe a little bit more closely with the district.
Let's open it up if there's any questions from the commission for Karen. None? Well, Karen, thank you for coming and sharing some information with us. It's something that we definitely have some interest in. It sounds like we're doing some of the similar work, so we want to thank you again for coming and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Seeing what that looks like for the commission in the district. I can't speak for the district or the commission, but individually, I want to reach out to you and see where we can go.
Terrific. Thank you.
Chair Benton,
Yes, ma'am.
I'll speak for the district.
Okay.
Hi, Karen. Just thank you so much. I appreciate your presentation. I know Catherine has just done a yeoman's job on supporting this effort and anything we can do. And I'm wondering if you're talking about signs of suicide, the SOS program through Children's Cabinet. And I know that we're looking to partner with that again too. So anything that we can do to help support the effort.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll work together. This will be good. Yes.
Misty, did you have a question?
I just wanted to confirm, I know Karen mentioned it's called Living Ideation with Dr. Steve Nicholas and Jacqueline Kleinedler have been piloting that with some schools in the north. And we had a discussion about it could be a great opportunity to reach parents as well. So I think that's what you're referring to, Karen. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yes. Oh, yes. And you just have one at Damani, and I think there were like 32 parents were there, and they made it, an exception so that they can meet in person. But I think there was interest for like 100 parents. So I think, maybe we do a town hall with the Children's Cabinet that reaches that's more general. And then we could see if there's interest through the town hall, if we get a good enough response for parents that want to do the other program that's a little bit more in depth, if they're more concerns about their children.
It's really exciting, the collaborative training with the living ideation. We had school counselors, school social workers, and school psychologists participate in that. And then the signs of suicide, we were able to have it available in English and in Spanish. So that was exciting. And really the Hope Means Nevada initiative has helped join the North and the South. So as a district, we've worked with our state suicide prevention coordinator, Misty, for a long time on our suicide intervention and prevention and postvention efforts within our district. But it's exciting to see a group of business leaders and kids coming together to help drive the reduction of the stigma and to help connect the things that we're doing here in the North with the South, and have really a statewide loud message about the importance of addressing this issue with our kids.
And another thing that brings up to me, Catherine, is we have a couple legislators on and former legislators on our committee. So we're going to be active at the legislature. So we definitely want to work hand in hand with the school districts. In fact, I did tell you, we kind of, we're going to support a bill that would pass in Oregon for 3 mental health days. So then I found out from Catherine that Washington County already does that, but not everyone in the state does, and that there's been a lot of work done for the 2023 session possibly on, making attendance a little more uniform around the state. So I'm glad I talked to Catherine, because I think we're going to relook at what our position is on that. But again, we want to, promote and awareness, and like Catherine said, reduce the stigma. So if we can help do that at the legislature, we will.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? No. All right, we will close item 2.03 and move to item 2.04, which is our update on the school reopening efforts. Sorry, related to COVID-19 pandemic, including steps taken to open schools and other information released by Washoe County School District since the February 1st, 2021 Safe and Healthy Schools Commission meeting. This is for presentation and discussion, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. LaMarca.
Thank you, Chair Benton. Can you see the screen? Okay, this is largely a summary of information that was shared with the Washoe County School District Board of Trustees last week on Tuesday evening. I'll walk through it very quickly with you. You're kind of familiar now with the kinds of data we've been sharing. We do use the Truckee Meadows COVID risk meter as a sort of a community-wide indicator of the prevalence of the disease, and we're still in the high range. However, and by the way, at their website now, all of the information can be accessed in both English and Spanish. But we have seen a very significant downward trend in terms of cases. So the overall risk score is really in the yellow region. It's not in the orange region any longer. However, as a group, we've sort of agreed that we won't change levels unless we are in a particular region for a significant period of time, because we don't want to jump up and down and confuse the community. The point is everything's moving in the right direction. This is data that we report from our school district, at least it's been a couple of times a week now. It used to be 3 times a week. We have sort of these general indicators up top. We have community-wide school age indicators, although that represents all kids in the county, not Washoe County School District kids. And then below you get cases that are in our schools. Things, again, are in very good shape, especially compared to where they were around the holidays. I can tell you that yesterday when we updated this, and that was after this presentation was put together, test positivity in our county is down to 6.0, and that's really positive. The World Health Organization wants that to be below 5.0, but I'll tell you, it hasn't been at 6.0 for a very long time, like back in maybe May, June. Hospitalizations has not really been an issue. This particular graph is, the blue line represents our adult population community-wide. Orange is essentially our high school aged population. Green is our elementary age population, and yellow is our infants and toddlers. And again, what this is showing you is a community-wide picture that the rates per 100,000 on a daily basis are now below where they were in September. And I think they're as low as they've been since June at this point. So again, good news. I will mention just very briefly, the governor came out with a directive a couple weeks back, Directive 038, and it paves the way for a more in-person learning. I do want to share that Washoe County School Districts is, among very few large school districts that has had a significant in-person learning presence throughout the pandemic. We would like it to be more than it is, but we've been full in person for elementary. We've had the hybrid model for secondary. Hybrid, essentially you're in school half the time, you work from home half the time. And then of course, we've given all parents the option for full distance learning. But Directive 038 paves the way for more kids to be in school. It changes some of the rules around maximum occupancy, really around 50% to 75%. Social distancing among kids throughout can now be at 3 feet, whereas it was 3 feet through 8th grade, and at high school level had to be 6 feet. Our board of trustees rightfully was more conservative at middle school and had kept that 6-foot distance, but we are now contemplating the 3-foot distancing. There are some relaxation to transportation requirements that allow more kids to be on buses, still with proper ventilation, still with very safe operations. Face coverings are still mandatory virtually at all times. There's a little bit of relaxation when kids are outside and exerting themselves physically, in addition to when they're eating and drinking, that sort of thing. And you probably all maybe are aware that some of the high contact athletics are now allowed to be played. So we are feverishly getting football up and going. You know, one of the things that I'm just going to mention and then really we end is we all want kids back in school, but we're a big system, a very big system, and there are significant implications for trying to turn kind of the aircraft carrier in such a short period of time. And these span, you know, the A to Z. There are significant teaching and learning considerations, especially around continuity of learning. You know, we're talking about a change to kids' schedules midway through the second semester. That's very difficult, can be very hard on families. Lots of operational implications around transportation, nutrition services, enhanced cleaning, health and safety. You know, we're in a very good spot as a county in terms of vaccinations. I think between 70 and 75% of our Washoe County School District staff have gotten vaccinations and will be fully vaccinated by, I think, the first Saturday of spring break. So that's really good news. If we're able to bring more kids back, there will be implications around contact tracing, and again, housekeeping's on here twice. There are obviously budget implications to all of this. Dr. McNeil's recommendation to the board at the last meeting was to not take action. They did take a couple of actions, but really that was to direct us to come back with a plan that might get more kids into school after spring break. And so we are working on a plan or a presentation that will be presented to the Board of Trustees on March 9th, and we will see what sorts of actions they take, and you'll know about it prior to the next time we meet, but we would certainly update you the next time we meet on the actions the board takes. I'm happy to try and answer any questions, Mr. Benton.
Thank you so much, Dr. LaMarca. Are there any questions from the commission?
I have one.
Yes, Dr. Joyner.
When we talk about potentially after the break, students going back to school, that's the first I'm hearing of that. Is that at all levels 100%, or would the distance learning remain an option for parents? That's the first I'm hearing of that. So more details would be appreciated. Thanks.
Sure, and Dr. McNeil may want to jump in. Distance learning at this point will remain an option for any family that wants that as an option. We are looking at, so again, at the elementary level, we've actually been in person the whole time. However, there have been families that have wanted to come back to in person that were on full distance. And because of the limitations in terms of maximum capacity, I think in some schools there's actually a waiting list. So it's possible, and again, the board has to act, but it's possible we'll see more elementary students come back full in person. At the secondary level, it may look a little different depending on the board again, at middle school and high school. I don't think there is capacity to bring everyone in given all the limitations. So definitely we're looking to bring more kids in for tutoring, to get them the support they need to pass their classes. If we were able to bring in groups of kids, such as a grade level, maybe that would be possible. And then again, just to reinforce it, parents will have the option to still remain out. And that may work both ways. We may have families that are comfortable with the hybrid model because their kids are in for only a limited period of time. And we could anticipate that some of those families might want now to go to full distance because they're just not comfortable their children being in for 5 days. So we don't know exactly, the impact it'll have on families. That's one of our keys, is to minimize disruption for families. We have to be able to do this as safely as possible. So it's not an easy switch.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been so much change for you all. I feel for you. I think you've been doing a great job of really trying to adapt in a time that it's almost impossible to predict what's going to happen. So thanks for always keeping us informed and updated on that.
Yeah, it's kind of been lose-lose for a year, but we're trying to lose less.
It's a good way to put it, lose less. Any other questions from the commission? We'll move on to item 2.05, which is our discussion and possible action to determine tentative content, logistics, and marketing of our 2021 Safety Forum.
Thank you, Chair Benton. This is Misty Allen for the record, and it's going to be short and sweet. Megan Downs and I discussed by email any next steps, and really we're on a good path. The next step will be getting the paragraphs of the content. We have some from Dr. Benuto and her colleagues. We're waiting on Sergeant Smith, but I haven't spoken to him. I know he's working on it with his colleagues. And tomorrow I'm meeting with my intern on the technology and social media with suicide prevention. So I'll know more tomorrow to develop a paragraph on that content. And then Megan was going to reach out to Mr. Searcy and I believe Catherine, right, on mental health and the physical building safety. Is that where we're heading?
Correct. So we'll still be doing that. This is Megan Downs for the record. So yes, I'll be reaching out to Adam and Catherine and get that piece finalized so that they'll have a portion of this event as well.
Thank you so much. So really at this point, we're just finalizing the content and then we'll work toward the marketing messages. Unless there are any concerns or questions.
Are there any questions from the commission? Megan or Misty, are there any action items that you're requesting of the commission today?
I think we'll get this finalized before the next meeting. So the marketing will come at the next meeting without a doubt.
Awesome.
For action.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I feel like we sped through our agenda, but we covered some great content today. With that, we're going to move to our closing items. I'm going to move to item 3.01. America, was there any public comment that was submitted throughout our meeting?
No, Chair Benton, there was not.
Thank you. With that, we'll close public comment and announce that our next meeting will be April the 5th, Monday. We'll hold it in the same fashion we held today's meeting via Zoom. And it's about 2:49 and we'll call the meeting adjourned.